Hello again, and welcome to the Daily Bread Bible Study for day 96, Sunday, April 5th, 2020, focusing on 2 Samuel chapters 17 through 19. We are continuing where we left off last time, as Absalom has led a coup against his father David. And we see in 2 Samuel 17 that the advisor Ahithophel continues to advise Absalom, saying in 2 Samuel 17:1, "Let me choose 12,000 men, and I will set out and pursue David tonight." Now Ahithophel wants to finish the coup quickly, killing only King David. This will allow Absalom to punish David for his coldness towards his son, while also keeping the kingdom from devolving into a civil war. 2 Samuel 17:3 reminds us, "You seek the life of only one man, and all the people will be at peace." Absalom likes the plan, but calls Hushai the Archite for counsel as well. Since Hushai wants to give David time, the double agent for King David refuses the wise counsel of Ahithophel and instead paints a picture of long drawn-out pursuit of David, in which Absalom commands the forces of Israel's might and smothers David's small but mighty forces. Absalom likes the grand vision of Hushai, the one that he is selling to him, instead of the quick and functional vision given by Ahithophel. Thus, Absalom takes more time in his preparations, allowing Hushai time to give warning to King David for the upcoming peril. Ahithophel's wise counsel is not heeded, so the man feels disgraced and commits suicide in his shame. David is then provided for by allies in the wilderness, as we will learn of the name of that Barzillai, but we will speak to him towards the end of our discussion. Moving on to 2 Samuel 18, in preparing for the upcoming battle, King David assigns 3 commanders. He assigns Joab and Abishai and Ittai the Gittite. With guilt and love in his heart still for Absalom, the king makes a gracious yet dysfunctional request. 2 Samuel 18:5 says, "Deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom." And all the people heard when the king gave orders to all the commanders concerning Absalom. And there in the forest of Ephraim, David's forces fight against Absalom's forces. The fighting is bitter, tribe against tribe. Even the forest joins the fight, as the wilderness causes more people to die than the actual weapons. And this also includes Absalom. 2 Samuel 18:9, Absalom was riding on his mule, and the mule went over the thick branches of a great oak. His head caught up fast in the oak, and he was left hanging between heaven and earth, while the mule that was under him went on. And then news is reported to Joab of Absalom hanging in a tree, and the commander is surprised that no one has killed him. Everyone heard what King David said, his request to be gentle with Absalom, except the one who felt betrayed by him. Everyone respects it except for Joab, because Joab was betrayed by Absalom. Joab brought Absalom back to Jerusalem only to see this ungrateful son wage war with King David. So Commander Joab runs and kills Absalom through. Joab sounds the trumpet to signify the end of battle and takes Absalom's body into the forest, raises up a heap of stones, which becomes called Absalom's monument. Joab sends a Cushite messenger to inform King David of his son's death. Ahimaaz, son of the priest Zadok, wants to tell King David as well, and races to share the news. Now, Ahimaaz will later be appointed as an important priest in King David's employment, and Ahimaaz wants to bring good news and let the Cushite be the bearer of bad news. So Ahimaaz runs quickly and arrives first, letting King David know that he has been delivered. The battle is over. He is vague about Absalom until the Cushite arrives, and then also lets David know that he has been delivered, but now filling in the bad news that Absalom is dead. The last part sends David into depression. 2 Samuel 18:33 says, "The king was deeply moved and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he wept, he said, 'O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I have died instead of you, O Absalom, my son, my son.'" In 2 Samuel 19, we pick it up in verse 1. "It was told Joab, 'The king is weeping and mourning for Absalom.' So the victory that day was turned into mourning for all the troops. And the troops heard that day, 'The king is grieving for his son.' The troops stole into the city that day as soldiers steal and who are ashamed when they flee in battle." David's depression is visible. He wept when Absalom killed Amnon, and he wept when Absalom was gone from Jerusalem. He wept when Absalom came back, and he wept when Absalom forced him to leave Jerusalem. And now he weeps because Absalom is dead. King David cries in part believing that these things come from his sin concerning Bathsheba, just as the prophet Nathan said they would. Yet the tribes of Israel are ready for this to be over. They want to live in peace. They have joy in their hearts that the conflict between Absalom and David has ceased. It's resolved. The people want hope, and David is expected to give them hope. Thus, Commander Joab is upset. The king is not functioning in the best interest of the people. The king is stuck in his grief. Joab has some sober words for David in 2 Samuel 19:6. "You have made it clear today that commanders and officers are nothing to you. For I perceive that if Absalom were still alive and all of us were dead today, then you would be pleased." Joab even threatens David to go do his job, which the king gets up and goes to his throne to address the people. David mulls over Joab's words. He then forgives those who supported Absalom, even promising to make Absalom's commander replace Joab. On the way back to Jerusalem, King David is met again by those who had seen him going out, including Shimei, the one who had previously cursed him and threw his dirt at him. Shimei begs for forgiveness, to which King David extends mercy a second time. David meets Mephibosheth again and asks why he did not show favor towards David. Mephibosheth claims that Ziba tricked him, promising to saddle donkeys and supplies, but never coming to get Mephibosheth, who cannot walk because he is crippled. Believing Mephibosheth and also honoring that Ziba did really help him in a time of need, King David has them split the land, which shows the honoring of Jonathan, King David's good friend, and Mephibosheth's father, who is now deceased. Thus, David keeps the covenant between the promising to be good to the line of Jonathan and to not let his grace depart from him. And Mephibosheth shows Jonathan's love and continues in showing that in 2 Samuel 19:30 by saying, "Let him take it all, since my lord the king has arrived home safely." Just like his father Jonathan, caring more about David's safety and health than anything in regards to possessions. In a similar vein, Barzillai, the Gittite, as I mentioned previously at the beginning of this time, helped David as he was fleeing across the Jordan. David seeks to honor the kind man who, now that his title of king has been restored to David, Barzillai does not seek any blessing for himself, but instead allows David to honor a man named Kimham. Others are less like Mephibosheth and Barzillai. They care more about their honor than having King David alive. Representatives from the tribes gather, and the tribe of Judah accompany the king. The rest of the tribes take offense at the closeness of the tribe of Judah to the king, saying in 2 Samuel 19:43, "But the people of Israel answered the people of Judah, 'We have 10 shares in the king, and in David also we have more than you. Why then do you despise us? Were we not the first to speak of bringing back our king?' But the words of the people of Judah were fiercer than the words of the people of Israel." We will see this last bit of conflict continue next time as the displeasure within the tribes comes to a head in the rebellion of Sheba.